institution by which to carry that mandate out. He gave you order. And it is no coincidence that children are best taken care of and most productive as adults when they have a father and a mother who are married. Let's pick it up at Malachi. It's the last book in the Old Testament, Malachi. Because he tells you clearly why he brought you together. Now, he tells you this in the context of this treachery that men were doing in basically separating from their wives without giving them a bill of divorcement. This has been, when you understand in the English, this has been misconstrued. Because sometimes interpreters will put their own belief on the text. But what men were doing, because of the divorce in Hebraic culture and according to Torah, only a man could divorce, and a man would give write a bill of divorcement, give it to his wife, and send her out of his house. That constituted a divorce. And with that evidence of being divorced, she could go and be another man's husband. That bill of divorcement is actually for the benefit of a woman. But when a man would just put a woman out of his house without a bill of divorcement, now he's put her in a very precarious situation. Because back then, there was no Walmart you can go get a job at. There was no, I think I'm going to be an LPN or RN, maybe even a nurse practitioner. There was nothing like that. Maybe I'll be a school psychologist. Maybe I'll be a teacher. Maybe I'll be a CEO. No, there was none of that. It was patriarchy, and women were dependent upon man. So if you do that, you put a woman in a position to do what? Go find a man as not her husband. Thus are you complicit in adultery, as she commits adultery and a man commits adultery. This is what Christ is telling you in Matthew the 19th chapter. But so now that's the context here. Let's pick it up at Malachi 2 and verse 13. When you're ready, go ahead and read.
And this have you done again, covering the altar of the Lord with tears, with weeping, and with crying out. So
he's talking about the treachery, particularly of the man in this case, but you on the altar crying and boo-hooing. Right? He said, this have you done again, covering the altar of the Lord with tears, with weeping, and with crying out, insomuch that what?
Insomuch that he regardeth not the offering anymore, or receiveth it with goodwill out of your hand.
So much. Now you would come to the altar, you cry, he's not, I'm not even taking heed to what you're doing. I'm ignoring you. And he said, why? Verse 14.
Yet ye say, wherefore?
In other words, why are you not hearing my cry? What's he going to tell him?
Because the Lord hath been witness between thee and the wife of thy youth.
Aren't you supposed to love your wife? Didn't we read that earlier? He said, but I've seen what you've done to the wife of your youth. The wife of your youth is your first wife. I've seen what you did unto the wife of your youth. Against who, what?
Against whom thou hast dealt treacherously.
But what is she?
Yet is she thy companion, and the wife of thy covenant.
Yet is she thy companion. She's your helpmeet. She is you. It said, and the wife of thy what? Thy covenant. Marriage is a covenant. Like they had, you see, in Hebraic culture, they may have a ketubah. Yeah, a ketubah. It said, and the wife of thy covenant. It's even a blood covenant when you understand. But now let's pick it up at verse 15.
And did not he make one?
He said, did he not make one? One what? One flesh. He took you back to the beginning. Then he's going to tell you why he made him one. Go ahead and read.
Yet had he the residue of the Spirit. And wherefore one?
That he might what?
That he might seek a godly seed.
This is the purpose for bringing a man and a woman together within the institution of marriage. The purpose of bringing a man and a woman in the institution of marriage is to have a godly seed. Not just any seed. See, when you thinking in a very lustful way, you thinking with your loins and your desire about a woman, and then what happens is you end up having a seed. But what you should be trying to have is a godly seed. A woman's value goes far beyond what she looked like. Is this what? Because again, if you are putting the Lord first and you have your purpose, the question is, what kind of woman are you going to deal with as a man? You need to consider this. And if it be the case that he gave the institution of marriage to have a godly seed, then you want a what? A godly woman. So I said, did he not he make one? Yet had he the residue of the Spirit, and wherefore one? Or why did he make one? That he might seek a godly seed again. but ye are God, said the Most High God. This goes beyond you. You are part of the procreation of God. So therefore, you should, as believers, you should choose a woman who is a believer as well. Therefore, take heed to your spirit, and let none deal treacherously against the wife of his youth. Again, you're not supposed to deal in treachery, which is what they were doing. That's why he said he hate putting away. Then people say, oh, he hate divorce. That's not what it says. He hates you putting her away in that precarious situation. Side note, you know the so-called Jews, they follow Torah. Do you know if you don't have a decree of divorce from a rabbi, that a woman is not divorced? You can go to the state. No rabbi will acknowledge that if it's not acknowledged by another rabbi. So what does that mean? You have women that the men did just what we read here. They put them out of their house, but they never wrote their own bill of divorce, because they follow their cult, what they adopted as their culture. They still have ketubas. They might go through the state, but they have ketubas. It's like the Muslims have their own registry of people that are married in the United States. They follow what they set up. So now these so-called Jews have it to where if the rabbi if that man didn't go to that rabbi and say you divorced, he don't care what the state say, and no rabbi will marry you. Why? Because he put her away without a bill of divorcement. He separated and left her out there. So now no rabbi will marry her. That's treachery. But now let's pick it up at Genesis, the 6th chapter. Because he gave you this institution of marriage. He gave a man something to do. He gave a woman something to do. But now he did it for the purpose to bring forth a godly seed. You need to be mindful who you're going into this institution of marriage with. Who you having a seed with. Let's pick it up in Genesis, the 6th chapter and verse 2. When you're ready, go ahead and read.
That the sons of God saw the daughters of men.
So now he gave this mandate, be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth. In verse 1, I should have read it. And it came to pass when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them. Now verse 2.
That the sons of God saw the daughters of men, that they were fair.
You see what they did? Now they looked at the sons of God. Who is that? These are righteous men. It says saw the daughters of men. Who are those? Those are women that were not righteous. They're of a different lineage. But it said that they were fair. What is fair? They look good. It's just like today. Remember, Father was talking about that. Why these men, they get all this money and they fall for the same woman all the time because she look a certain way, then they end up broke. Crying, what else do they want from me? They want some more money. That's what they want. Why you looking at, we were talking about one, he got a woman, they said, well, other women making fun of him because the woman don't look like she an Instagram model. But she's got like a master's in IT or something like that. And one man said, you know who she looked like? She looked like a wife. That's what she looked like. That's what she looked like. But nevertheless, it said, that's what you want to find. He that findeth a wife findeth a good thing. Not any wife, though. A good wife. A prudent wife. It said that the sons of God saw the daughters of men, that they were fair, or they looked good, and they took them wives of all which they chose. Now that's a problem. Go ahead and read.
The Lord said, my spirit shall not always strive with man, for that he also is flesh, yet his days shall be 120 years. Why
all of a sudden is he talking about now he's going to cut the life of man down, the lifespan? Because that intermingling, brothers and sisters, brings about sin. When you are married, you intertwine your lives. If you've been married at any time, you know there are certain things you can't even do because you have to consider your mate. Even to the point you might have to consider, well, what do you want to eat? You and young, he was just talking about, hey, I bought a coffee table. I bought, what else you buy?
That was pretty much it.
That was pretty much it. Yeah, you buy yourself. When you get married, you be like, well, what color coffee table? I don't think we should have a coffee table. You be like, what? I didn't have these questions and problems when I was by myself. Yeah, your lives are intermingled, but at least if y'all serving the Lord, y'all walking in the same way. If you are not serving the Lord, or you're serving the Lord and your spouse is not, you are going in completely two different directions in life. But you're still intertwined with one another. So now you're pulling and she's pulling. You're going in two different directions. That's like Chris Rock used to have a joke. He said, man, you on drugs and your spouse is not. Where you going? I'm going to work. Where you going? Hit the pipe? What? Y'all going in two different directions. You going to smoke crack, he going to on his job. That's not okay. You going to keep the Feast of Unleavened Bread. They going to deal with Christmas. Crack. Let's keep reading, brother. Let's get down to verse 5.
And God saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually.
But how did it get to that? Again, because you had this intermingling, and it breeds sin. Because you know what men do today? Especially men. They capitulate. All right, go ahead. And just like this, the sons of God saw the daughters of men that they were fair, took them wives which they chose. They said, I'm going to cut this lifespan down. So it said, and it repented the Lord that he had made man on the earth, and it grieved him at his heart. Then he goes on talking about he's going to destroy man. Man, you notice that's linked right to the sons of God seeing the daughters of men that they were fair. He told you to be fruitful and multiply, but he said, you're supposed to be seeking a godly seed. You have corrupted the seed. Deuteronomy, the 7th chapter. And that was the case with Israel here. Deuteronomy, the 7th chapter. He was telling you, you should not, in marriage, corrupt the godly seed. He gave them what would make them righteous. Let's pick it up in Deuteronomy 7th chapter, verse 1. When you ready, brother, go ahead and read.
And the Lord thy God shall bring thee into the land whither thou goest to possess it, and has cast out many nations before thee, the Hittites, and the Girgashites, and the Amorites, and the Canaanites, and the Perizzites, and the Hivites, and the Jebusites, 7 nations greater and mightier than thou.
So he gave his people this. He's telling you he's giving his people the land of Canaan, which was a part of that Abrahamic covenant, the promised land. Go ahead and read.
And when the Lord thy God shall deliver them before thee, thou shalt smite them and utterly destroy them.
Go ahead.
Thou shalt make no covenant with them, nor show mercy unto them.
He said, don't dwell with these people. He said, destroy them. Don't make covenant with them. Neither should you what?
Neither shalt thou make marriages with them. Thy daughter thou shalt not give unto his son, nor his daughter shalt thou take unto thy son.
So people will say, see, that means we can't marry white folks and all this. This is not actually what this is talking about. What the issue is here is that these particular people worship falsely. You know it's not the case that he's dealing solely on just your ethnicity or what you look like, because you saw with Ruth. What did she say? Your people will be my people and your God will be my God. And out of that lineage came David. She was righteous. So you also see where you see in the Torah, one law for the homeborn, one law for the stranger. You see Israel left in a mixed multitude. That you were to treat the other people that clung to Israel, became a part of the commonwealth, just as you would treat your homegrown brother. So that's not what it's talking about here. What the problem is that these people will not serve the Lord. Verse 4.
For they will turn away thy son from following me.
Again, pulling you away from the Lord. That's why when people ask me, should I marry this person? Do they believe? No. Why would you marry them? Well, a lot of times people be scared to be by themselves. Look, you want to marry somebody it's one thing when you married and then you come into the truth. Paul talks about how to deal with that. It's an entirely different thing to be in the truth and then marry somebody who's not. That doesn't make any sense. He said, for they will turn away thy son from following me, that they may serve other gods. So will the anger of the Lord be kindled against you and destroy thee suddenly. Why would you do that? He said, but thus shall ye deal with them. Ye shall destroy their altars and break down their images and cut down their groves and burn their graven images with fire. Don't sound like he wants you to intermingle with somebody that's not the truth. Verse 6.
For thou art an holy people unto the Lord thy God.
Uh-huh.
The Lord thy God has chosen thee to be a special people unto himself, above all people that are upon the face of the earth.
So he wants the righteous to deal with the righteous. Because he's seeking a godly seed. Now, just another side note. There's another thing. You see the righteous not having the children. Who should have the children? The young righteous? They don't care. They just having babies. Not bringing them up in the way in which they should go. Hey, they're like weeds in the field. The righteous are the ones that should be having the kids. But now let's pick it up at Ezra. Because the same thing was going on here that he's speaking out against. When they went back into the land after the Babylonian exile in the days of the Medo-Persian Empire, notice what was taking place. This is Ezra the 9th chapter. Ezra 9, and we'll pick it up at verse 1. Ezra 9 and verse 1. When you're ready, brother, go ahead and read it.
Now when these things were done, the princes came to me, saying, the people of Israel, and the priests, and the Levites, have not separated themselves from the people of the lands, doing according to their abominations, even of the Canaanites, the Hittites, the Perizzites, the Jebusites, the Ammonites, the Moabites, the Egyptians, and the Amorites.
These are some of the same people that we read about in Deuteronomy 7. They didn't make a separation. See, as believers, we're supposed to be separated or sanctified, or as you read, holy. That's what that means. So that means what? You can't marry any and everybody. Don't matter what they look good. Don't matter. That's what we base stuff on. They look good. I can see myself with them. See yourself going to hell? You better take heed. He said they haven't separated themselves. Let's pick it up at verse 2.
They have taken of their daughters for themselves, and for their sons, so that the holy seed have mingled themselves with the people of those lands.
The sons of God saw the daughters of men, that they were fair, took